present. If everyone would please stand for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And the Texas flag pledge.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, and indivisible.
And yours, please.
Most Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We ask that you would just bless this gathering, dear Lord, and just keep our minds open and our hearts open to what you have for us. Dear Lord, we ask you to bless everyone that's here, dear Lord, and everyone that's on their way for some reason hadn't made it here. But dear Lord, we just thank you for all the blessing that you've given us. We thank you, Lord, for them that you have in store for us. Dear Lord, we ask for guidance, wisdom, and understanding. All these things we ask in your Son, Jesus' name, we pray. Amen.
All right, we will begin with public comments on agenda items. First, we have Mr. Gates. You'd like to speak on items 12 and 5.
House Bill 28680 reads, relating to the right of a member of the public to address the governing body of a political subdivision at an open meeting. Penal Code Section 3903 reads, official oppression. A public servant acting under the color of his office or employment commits an offense if he intentionally denies or impedes another in the exercise or enjoyment of any right, privilege, power, or immunity, knowing his conduct is unlawful.
Mr. Gates, which item on the agenda were you wanting to speak to?
This is addressing both the annexation and item 5 executive session.
Okay,
Can I continue?
you may.
On 9/23, the council voted to pursue annexation of my property. I signed up before the meeting to address the agenda item. Because of past dealings with the city, I took a photo of the sign-up sheet after I signed it. That photo is time-stamped at 4:55 p.m. It was a 5 o'clock meeting. Because some idiot said I signed up after the meeting started, I was made aware there was video surveillance.
Mr. Gates,
So,
there will be no more demeaning of this council, or you'll be asked to stop.
I don't know who said it.
Well, then why do you think they're an idiot? That's demeaning. You're not gonna
Because
do
it was a
that.
lie. And calling a liar an idiot, I don't think that's,
Mr. Gates, go ahead and read.
I filed a Public Information Act request for the video. The city has denied me access to that video. Almost a month later, I received a copy of the minutes of the meeting that were approved by the council. Those minutes indicate no one signed up. The video will show that's not true. My photo proves that's a false entry into a government document. Two elements exist in official oppression, intentionally and knowing. You had 2 sign-up forms and you had a printed agenda. Kind of hard to say you didn't know. I think intentionally was met when I spoke up and the mayor said no. If you vote to approve this annexation tonight, when you could have reviewed the video in executive session, you're violating your oath of office where you swore to uphold the laws of this state. Think of it as a referendum on your character and integrity. If, on the other hand, you review the video to confirm and emerge from executive session and vote this annexation down, you acknowledge a mistake was made, and to proceed would be powerful evidence that it was your intent to violate the law. Speaker of the House Dennis Bonham said taxpayers need to be protected from local governments. Tonight you will either prove him wrong or become the poster child for what is wrong with local governments.
That was Patty Dean. Which agenda item are you wishing to speak to? Annexation. Thank you.
After hearing numerous property owners speak against this forced annexation, the city of Moody, specifically this council and the city manager have decided to ignore our rights and request to follow the law and at least let us vote. To all the voters that are here, remember, not one of these council members ever questioned anything regarding the proposed annexations, nor voted no. It was unanimous. Despite the fact that Governor Abbott passed a law in May to protect us. What this says is this council does not respect Texas law, and they don't respect us. Oh, they're gonna say that they started this process before the law was passed, so that gives them the right to do this. But to do that, they must have plans, postings to let the public know. There was nothing before then. And I'll remind everyone that I've said this before. I asked the city manager several times at the beginning of this year, and I was told he knew nothing about any annexations and he didn't know anything that was going on. So I believe the city in April found out about this bill being pushed through, and they decided that they could just do this without going through any proper procedures. So what's disturbing to me is that when multiple property owners brought evidence to you city council members and you just ignored it completely, and not one council member questioned any evidence ever. None of it. You didn't question anything. All kinds of evidence was brought in front of you, and you didn't care. And this is personal. We were told by the mayor that this was not personal, but it is our land, our homes. And we chose where we wanted to live. Also, the mayor says it's time for us to join the community. Again, making it personal. Some of us have lived here, worked here, and served our community for many years. Both my husband and I have lived here all our lives. I have worked here for 20 years, and we both served our community in many ways. I am very proud of that. That being said, it's not for you to decide who joins a community. It is not the city of Moody's job to do that. We're still in America. People decide where they want to live and what communities they want to be a part of. This should not be determined by city government. If you want Moody to grow, develop it economically, bring in businesses and beautify the town. This is the way it should be done, not forced annexation. Also personal. Watching folks you have known for half of your life, going to church with them, going to school with them, treat you with disrespect and lie to you. It's very sad and it's disheartening to stand up here and give our hearts out and talk, and yet none of you care. You care more about the noise level of the Cotton Harvest Festival bothering homeowners than you do about these homeowners. You don't care how higher taxes would affect some people, and to top it off, we're not going to get any services. So what is about personal? It's the timing. Why vote today on the annexation? Why right before the November 5th election? There's so many questions about everything that's been done incorrectly, and so many people against it. Why not table it for now? Why do you have to do it tonight? Why the rush? Yeah, this is pretty personal. All your actions have been disorganized, your staff has been unprofessional, and so I'm very against this forced annexation. It's not right, and you know it. That being said, Moody is a great little town. To the voters out there are people that really want to make a difference in Moody. Moody was thriving back in the day, and there's some people that are going up in the elections, and they really want to make a difference. So if y'all want a good chance of Moody being good
Just need
again,
to speak to the council.
okay,
To the council.
we're going to vote a new council in, and Moody will be great again, because Moody is a good little town, and I do love Moody.
Susan Allen. And which agenda item would you like to speak to?
Oh, the annexation. I have a little paper I'd like to pass out here. It's a cute little poem I thought you might want to read. You can, those of you that are not paying attention to it, I'll give you something to read while you wait.
We're not gonna have that.
Okay. And I'll do my best here. There's been a lot of changes since Donnie and I received our first annexation letter from your city. I want you to just look around at a handful of neighbors who came back in May to speak at your hearing how well it's grown. It's organized and the facts have been checked. Everyone has told me their own story and disputed. Everyone has told their own story and disputed the whitewashing you thought we would fall for. I was curious about stuff and I looked up, what does it mean to be annexed? It means to attach, to add to something bigger or more important, to incorporate such a territory into the domain of a city, country, or state. To take over, especially without permission. Do I need to repeat that? To take over, especially without permission. Something annexed is a victory in battle, resulting in territorial annexations that are hard to govern. The definition, when I looked this up, the definition, it gave an example. Germany annexed Czechoslovakia. My father, who served this country in World War II, fought for our freedom, or we would all be speaking a different language right now. The Germans and Japanese could be saying to all of y'all up there, don't take it personal. So here we are on our homeland. We fight for our right to live on our land in the county, not your city. It was our choice to live. I told you at the first hearing, I had the choice. We had a house in town we looked at. We had a house in the county we looked at. We moved where we wanted to move. It was within our budget. It was where we wanted. You tried to entice us with your service plan. You remember the plan that you included with our letters and the copies that you offered and proudly passed out at the last 2 hearings. But after some reading and checking, it was really like a basic outline with the exact words taken from the annexation laws. Wait. That means we really haven't seen your annex plan, your service plan. Definition time again. A true service plan is written details of the supports, activities, and resources required by the city to achieve these goals. A service plan is developed to articulate the decisions and agreements made, in this case, the city, a centered process of planning and information gathering. Everyone has spoken to the council. Everyone who has spoken to the council the past few months has clearly pointed out of your so-called list everything, item by item, that we don't need, we don't want, and you can't provide. Police, with due respect, not needed or provided. A while back, your city administrator stated to my husband that one shift, I believe at the time it was a night shift, wasn't even being covered because the city didn't have enough officers. Really, it's not a smart idea to announce in public what hours the city is not fully protected. So I asked, what coverage do you have when they go for training and such? So you really don't have enough officers to cover your city, but plan on taking on 80 more homes. Mr. Morgan, when interviewed on the news, said something like, our boys can handle it. We'll get them what they need. Well, they can't handle it. You can't get them what they need. But a real service plan would have articulated how you could have done it if you could. Fire. It's volunteer. Do you need the definition for volunteer? You don't have a fire department to offer. Could go on through the list repeating what you've already been told. Medical, waste, parks, streets, and then there's that bonus, the sewer. We caught on to those impact fees. Sewer's not happening. Mayor, you were visibly at a loss of words during your news interview when the service plan was broken down by everyone who spoke. Piece by piece, and proved we weren't getting everything for free, as you had earlier stated. You had no answers as to how you would be handling the extra strain our annexation was going to cause in your city. Oh, and by the way, what exactly do you consider free? Donnie and I have been working and paying taxes since we were 13 years old. 13 years old, that's a long time. We paid extra taxes for the home here in Newton, the one we wanted to get it. When we bought it, we had to pay extra in taxes out of our retirement to get it. So, yeah, you're putting a strain on us. We are part of the hard-working middle class. There are so many ways to improve your city, and most have been brought to your attention. Repeating again, the most successful one being to generate jobs by bringing in businesses. Really, in the past 5 years that we've been here, not one business could be recruited to open here that would have led to more coming. About a month ago, I mentioned a major company that tried but couldn't get past the city office to your council. Mr. Morgan said, no, they should have come in. I thought about what you said. I put a lot of thought into that. Well, no. Their cause should have been returned because the city needed that revenue more than that company needed your city. I believe my source that gave me this information more than your administrator, who has lied to my face at least twice now. And I haven't known him very long at all.
Derogatory
And there are more
statements.
people here that have known him
You've
a
been
lot longer.
talking for 7 minutes.
Okay.
Let's wrap it up.
Clean up your city. Repeating. I read your minutes, all the minutes for the year 16. Every time any mention of cleaning was brought up, it was taken. If you'd started a few years ago, might have looked more pleasing for business then. So many of our concerns were voiced during those hearings with no response from any of you. Thought you might have some answers, but no. That's where that definition part, annexing those who were hard to govern, comes to mind. When you annex, you can govern by taking our money and our rights. Those valid concerns are our monies and our rights taken away by you. That's why Abbott passed and signed the bill, protecting us from your greed. If we had a vote, everyone we talked to would vote no, and you know this. So now it all comes down to a date on the calendar. There's a grandfather clause. You can get by without obeying the law, even when you know it's deemed wrong because of a date on the calendar. Does that date on the calendar clear your conscience of your actions? I understand you sitting there and wanting to improve your city and see it grow, but there's so many other ways that you could have tried that would have worked if someone had done their job in the past or just during your terms. But no, the annexation is your quick money grab. Doesn't matter that it's wrong, against the law, affects 80 households, 80 families, 80 different stories. You haven't followed your proper procedures, which by the law is also against the law. If you know right from wrong, stop now. If not, try to vote your conscience if you have one. Remembering you earlier pledged your allegiance to the United States flag, the Texas flag, and said a prayer to God. That little poem I just passed out, I couldn't get it copied quite right, but it was copied from Daniel Welch's Facebook page a couple of months ago, who was part of the group of the council that voted the resolution to pass the annexation. Clearly he didn't mind raising our taxes, but then he puts that little poem on there about how we're overtaxed. Tax everything we've got, tax them when they die, tax the inheritance tax. Tax them, tax them, tax them. Read that little poem. He had it on his Facebook page. He was taken on this council, taken under somebody's wing, told what to say. It's wrong. I have proof right here. I couldn't get his name on it, but I have proof right here that it came off his Facebook page. So he doesn't mind raising our taxes. And then on his wife's Facebook page, he would have voted no. Well, how does she know how he's going to vote? Is that her business? Is it her business to sit here and...
Miss Allen.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's wrong. Vote your conscience. We know how you're going to vote. But if anybody has any, you know what, use them.
Board. And which agenda item would you like to speak to? And I want to remind you that we want you to speak to the council, not the audience. And nothing demeaning.
I didn't, well, to address, I didn't say anything demeaning about the council last time, so that was not addressed. That was just for the mistrust of everyone that's been told, which is what I'm gonna talk about on the annexation. Short and sweet, you know, we've already been saying everything, and it's just kind of weird that we asked you during the hearings when the meetings were going to be, because we did have a concern about people traveling from work and stuff, and about the 5 o'clock. And you said you didn't know. And all our group has to check the postings every night to see if something is snuck in. Did they sneak it in? Did they sneak it in? Did they sneak it in? Right before the cotton harvest, we got it. Okay, so we sent it out. Yeah, we're gonna have a called meeting on Wednesday night. Well, some of our members couldn't be here because it's a church night. And I do appreciate y'all having it at 6. We do have some people that needed to drive in.
This is about annexation.
Well, I don't want to be asked to remove again, so I'm going to keep this short sweet. if I'm at a teacher's meeting with you, I'm gonna stay on subject, okay? And I'm a teacher and you're a principal, so I think I do know what I need to talk about. You are our neighbors and our friends, and we already know what the line's been crossed. We don't want annexation, we've already told you that. We see downtown, the Johnson grass is over by the post office. We can't even do that. We know how it is. We don't trust you. It all comes down to a matter of trust. We've seen how things are misused, and we don't trust you. It boils down to that. And because we don't trust you, we don't want to give our money to you. We don't want any part of it. We already know how this is gonna go, because every vote is unanimous. And that's why we're here, it's just to support each other. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. All right, next, in open comments that are non-agenda items, Mr. Newman.
This is just an overall comment. I commented first on phase one of the annexation, because y'all voted and y'all took us in, and I'm gonna say supposedly. City council elected officials come and go. They are supposed to be bringing positive change to the city they represent. It's sad that our city doesn't have representation. Seems like they just want to disrupt people's lives and way of life. The way the council has gone about annexation is completely wrong. The council has been pressured, persuaded, and influenced by one person, the city administrator. It seems to me that if he said jump, every council member would say how high. Just because a person holds a position of authority, and I say that lightly, doesn't mean they know what they are doing or saying or speaking about. All individuals are different and have different ideas and goals, but in this case, the council is following someone that is totally clueless and misleading. As far as people to be annexed, you said we could speak and the council would listen. It didn't matter what anyone said, you already had your minds made up. So whatever facial gestures were made while I spoke is clearly a representation and immaturity, and certainly not professional in the positions that you hold. Thanks for the meeting at 6 o'clock tonight.
All right, the next item on the agenda is executive session. We will now go into executive session according to Title 5, Chapter 551 of the Texas